So I just talked about how to read primary source documents, and now I want to talk about how to read articles and book chapters, as well as our textbook. These are the three kinds of text we'll be reading in this class. So when you look and you see that there's an article that's been assigned or a chapter from someone's book, basically what someone has done is they've looked at all the primary sources about a particular kind of idea, and they have decided that they want to advance some sort of scholarly argument about what happened and how what happened relates to a broader history. So the articles do a lot of the analysis work for us as readers. The first thing I do when I'm trying to think about reading an article is I preview it. I try to look and see what kind of article is it. Is it a book review, for example? Is it a review essay that someone is taking multiple ideas and bringing them together? Is it a monograph? As in, is it a article that's about one topic that's kind of a short, small topic that's probably advanced within 30 pages or so? Um, and so I'm going to try to show you what I do when I look at these things with this article, which is from the first week of classes. So I look and I see that the article is from History of Ed Quarterly 2014. So it's relatively recent. And then I look and see who the author is. And I know that Kay Lomawema is someone who studies Indigenous education, and she also looks at politics. But she's writing in a history of education quarterly, so I know that this is going to be a historical essay. And then I start reading, and I think, okay, so it says contributors to this thematic issue of the quarterly call education historians scholarly attention to the particularities of Native histories and the diverse ways that Native people experience and think about our worlds. So I now know that volume 54, number 3, which is kind of on the bottom of the piece, was a thematic issue, which means that this journal decided to have all of the pieces in it be about one thing. As I'm reading for a few things. I'm reading for the argument, I'm reading for how it's organized, and I'm reading for how primary sources are used within the piece. Articles aren't super long. They're about 30 pages, so you should read them in depth. You should make lots of annotations on them if you can, or take notes as you're going. But really what you're thinking for is, what is this person trying to say, and how are they proving what they're saying? And that's sort of how I want you to approach reading an article. The textbook is a different matter completely. So this is actually the table of contents from the textbook. And when you're reading one of the chapters from the textbook, you need to just think about it as something that's just I've given you to give you broad context. And what you can do is you can look up the chapter and you can see, say right here, I say chapter 4, the common man in the common school. It kind of tells me how it's organized. And so what I can do before I even read the chapter is look and see what are the various parts of it. The second thing I can do is, actually I should probably do this before I do anything, is take a deep breath, because I know that it's really hard to do this reading. Then you should read the guiding question for the week, or the reading questions that I'm going to give you. And as you're reading, I want you to keep those questions in mind. Read with a pencil, computer, paper, whatever kind of helps you take notes and absorb what you're reading, and try to get as much broad context as you can out of the textbook. Unlike primary sources or smaller articles, the textbook is really just to give you a broad sense of what was happening at the time. You can read the textbook in less of a thorough way than you can read an article or a primary source.